Listen closely, and you'll hear the sound of the Podcast Whisperer. David Allen challenges you to learn what it takes to be a world-class podcaster. Because everyone has a story to tell.
Hello, and welcome to the Podcast Whisperer. Let's roll this week's episode.
Semicolons are like a polarized state. They're between three different existences all at once.
What about the commas?
The commas are like in a thing where they go through like a computer with light and they transfer across the world.
You should have commas on the end of every line.
They are. They're just in four places at once.
Every comma, everywhere.
No, the comma is interpolating between each line.
No, you're still wrong, though.
Greg, do you know what bike shedding is?
No, I don't know what bike shedding is.
Bike shedding it's not really a great term, but it does explain something that's very, very important. And
is it when your bike like...
Welcome back to this week's Podcast Whisperer episode. This week we are reviewing Public Function. And it's a very interesting show, as you heard the intro there, which I'm kind of torn about this, so we're going to just dive right into this. So let's talk about the facts real quick. So the description of the show: Public Function is a weekly show talking all things technology, software development, gaming, and related topics. Your hosts are Albert Park and Greg Parsons. On iTunes, they're 19 episodes in. They launched November 18th, 2018. And their episodes range anywhere from 39 minutes to an hour and looks like 53 minutes. So, it depends what you're looking for that day. If you're looking for something a little bit more drawn out or something that is to the point. So I have listened to some of the episodes and we're going to dive right into this. So the intro for me kind of set it off. I've been preaching about intro. And if you noticed in the beginning of the episode, they did a clip from the show, which I thought is fabulous, by the way. They're kind of hysterical if you listen to the show. I really do like the show. I've learned some things. And it just seems to me it's two guys talking about things that, like I said, technology and nerd stuff. I'm not really much of a nerd, but I've actually learned a couple things from the episodes as well. I'm torn about this particular intro because I've preached it in every episode of Podcast Whisper about, your openers and your episodes and things like that. But sometimes there are exceptions to the rules. And I feel like this is one of them. Although they don't come in with your typical, hi, my name is, and this is, and all that stuff. They do have a great starting point. So they start with the clip from the episode, and then they also kind of just dive right into the topic. Not something that I'm a fan of, but for some reason it feels right. It feels like it's working for the show. I mean, if you listen to every single episode, it's the same thing. They've never once announced who they are. They never once announced what the show is all about. They kind of just dive right into it, as you heard in the intro. So, I'm going to have to give the show a pass on that. I think it works. Like I said, it just feels right. And it's not something that I'm a fan of, but at the same time, if it works for your show, it works for your show. So the episode titles in iTunes are, 018 Clown Time, 017, 016, all that stuff. Again, with the numbers and the titles, I don't get it. I just don't understand it. And it's a minor thing, but still it just takes away from the episode. You have to actually figure out, what it's all about. So, but the good news with their titles, though, that their titles are so short that you can actually see everything. You kind of know what you're getting into before you actually listen to an episode. Let's take a listen to their audio quality.
Absolute overkill.
No, it's amazing. You would load up.
Absolute overkill.
No, you would load up GTA 5, and GTA 5 in the settings will tell you how much video RAM you have.
Yes.
24 gigs.
Oh my God.
24 gigs of video RAM. It was insane.
VRAM. VRAM is fast because it's
you don't even need it.
DDR5.
You definitely don't need it for sure. No, it was 22 because Titan XPs. No, it was 20. It was 24 because Titan XPs have 12 gigs of RAM. I think
you should just
the TIs have 11. I think
could have went 4K 144 with HDR.
Yeah, for a $2,000 monitor, sure. I don't have that kind of money.
I love this banter because it's so dry, but it's so good. And, that's why I kind of like the show, because there's really no production value. The audio quality is great. And I can kind of relate to some of the stuff that they're talking about. Most people won't. And it's really a niche show. The things that they're talking about, and they're very, very passionate about what they talk about. And that's what's so rare about podcasting these days and these episodes. In this episode, you heard them talking about gaming and gaming computers and monitors and things of that nature, and even cracked a little joke, like, yeah, for $2,000, I can get that monitor, but I don't have that kind of money. So I like the show because of the authenticity of it. I like the show because of the rawness of it. And, again, there's no production. There's no transitioners. It's just two guys talking about stuff that they're extremely passionate about and seem very knowledgeable about as well. I'm not sure of the relationship between these two, but they definitely have a very good chemistry together, which is another challenge of doing any type of co-hosting with anybody. It's finding the time to get together to do it. It is getting it together and then also putting it together. And it seems, and I could be wrong, but there's no editing in this. It seems like everything is just aired as is, which is great. I mean, the conversations are really great. And if you can follow what they're saying, I mean, you can definitely learn something about it. I do love that. Their descriptions in iTunes are fantastic, by the way. They go into a great depth about what they are talking about. And that alone, again, you can tell by just the title, but if you wanted to dig a little bit further into what the episode's really about, definitely check out their descriptions. They have a website as well for their podcast, which I think is absolutely amazing. It's very well put together. The entire show is very, very well put together. Let's pop in and sneak up on them and take a listen to another clip of their show.
There's all these weird things inside of PHP and in WordPress that you're just like, what the hell?
Give me Jeff Bezos from the global object. And all the Vim users cry out and scream in pain. Why? Why have you forsaken us?
I have a love-hate relationship with forums because I probably spent, at least 3 or 4 years of my professional life being a developer just working on forums.
I also have the same thing except for the love part.
Yeah, it's all hate.
It's all hate.
I forgot about my biggest gripe. The reason why headless CMSs are so popular is because how are you going to server render React in PHP, in the Crucible? How are you going to get Shax to let you render?
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who that is?
I don't know who that is.
I don't either.
He's kind of our enemy in podcasting, I think. But anyway, Gillian Anderson, blonde Gillian Anderson.
It's weird.
It's not weird.
Red hair.
Totally not weird.
Red hair.
How can you type into the microphone, Greg?
I'm sure I'll find a way.
As I said before, I love listening to these two. The banter back and forth is kind of comical, and that is how there's a genuine connection and they truly enjoy what they do. It's not staged. It's not scripted. They pick a topic and they run with it. I love it. They also have the Twitter that is really good as well. They're promoting their shows on there. And they also put a description of what they're talking about there. New episode this week. Public function is old enough to vote. Greg discusses the future of e-commerce and Shopify. Albert launches a spaceship from his phone, and we talk gaming, hardware history, 8K monitors, big desks, and more. Guys, excellent work with this show. I know my review is short, but I really wanted to feature you because I think the show is amazing. I love it. I will listen to going forward, and I will definitely recommend the show. And if you guys keep this up, I think you got something here, because again, it's not produced. It's raw. It's unedited. It's great. The chemistry's great. I truly just do not have any critiques for the show. Although I did learn something and, I'm going to kick it over to Greg because Greg's message is very loud and clear in this clip.
Everybody thinks that developers are like introverts. They're not all introverts. I'm not an introvert.
You keep saying this.
I'm not really. I don't know.
Keep saying this.
We talked about the definition of it. I'm not an introvert. Anyways, point is, people are different. Don't assume that every one of your developers is an introvert who hides in the corner and needs to be told exactly what to do. That's not the way that you motivate people. You have to know how each kind of person. You have to be able to point at somebody and say, after I've worked with them for a little bit of time, they're this kind of person. And I'm not going to be able to motivate them with negative reinforcement. I have to motivate them with positive reinforcement. I have to motivate them with dangling a carrot. I have to motivate them with something. I have to motivate them people different ways, and you have to discipline people different ways, et cetera, et cetera. And the whole point is, if you're going to try to create a whole remote workforce after you read these 2 books and you're like, yeah, that's something I want to do, you probably should know how to manage developers.
What a great message that Greg is sending. And it's not just about developers either. I've felt the same way for so long. And I can go on a whole tangent about this, and I won't, but it's every workforce out there. It's insanity, the amount of managers that have changed over the years. And it's more about the business than it is about the people. And thank you, Greg, for that. I just wanted to kind of include that into the show because that was one of the lessons that I've learned, that all introverts or all developers are not introverts. And they've talked about this before. So if you want to hear more about that, definitely listen to Public Function because they cover a lot. So let's take a listen to their closing.
If you have any other related inquiries about remote work or Star Wars or monitors
or video games
or
how to build a better Shopify,
you can tweet at Greg.
Totally.
He's on Twitter. I verified this with my own eyes. I promise he's there, guys. At Gregorski is where to reach him. I am at Al Park. The show is at A Public Function. We tweet there when it's time for the new episode to be downloaded to your podcast player of choice. Or if you'd like to visit us on the web, we're there too. Publicfunction.show. This is episode number 18.
Oh my God.
The 19th episode. We're one away from the
20.
big old 20. We are 2 episodes away from being able to drink alcoholic beverages, Greg. How do you feel about that?
Then they go on to talk about their episode 20, 21, what they're going to do. And I cannot wait to hear what they are going to do. I'm so excited. And they played the end music. It was just way too long. It was a 3-minute clip. And, you know, I just wanted to hear them promote where they can find people and download this to the podcast player of your choice. Excellent, excellent words. Excellent show, guys. Thank you so much for submitting your podcast at reviewmypod.com. I really, truly appreciate the opportunity to be able to critique your show. I think it's great the way it is. I truly do. I love the music. And again, you know, thank you for teaching me that intros are always not important. 99% of the time they are, but this is the 0.1%. This is the 1% that it does not matter because the show is just so good. You just dive right in, you get into it. And, you know, thank you for changing my mind about that. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why I do Podcast Whisper, because I'm not an expert. I don't have this thing down, but when I do, when I get it right one day, it's going to be great. So I'm learning from you as well as teaching you, and we're learning from each other. That's what Podcast Whisper is all about. So thank you again, Greg and Al. I truly do appreciate the show, and I cannot wait to hear your new episodes come out. And if you want your show to be reviewed and featured, go to reviewmypod.com, submit it there. You can follow us on Twitter at The Pod Whisperer. And until next time, my friends, happy podding.